It's an interesting thing when you're saying kind of, your audience, because that's probably the first key, is knowing your audience. Like the audience who are going to enjoy Everyone Forgot and the audience who are going to enjoy Marlo versus Quill, there might not be any crossover in that Venn diagram. I mean, there might be some, but they're just two completely different audiences. And so when you sit down to write any of these things or to create any of these things, it's about knowing that audience first. I think it's like, but that doesn't mean, it's having an idea of it. It's not like doing market research. I mean, if I got to like a bigger stage with these things, then, you'd hope that you'd have like genius market researchers who could go out and just tell you, okay, you need to cater to like over 40s, housewives at home who are just sick of not being recognized on their birthday on Facebook. But it's like, it's just having a bit of an idea. I think we were touching on just the fact that it's like,
but I think you do know something about that though, because like that Polaroid segment, for instance, you knew that there would need to be pauses in order to accentuate the comedic element of the fact that the Polaroid wasn't fucking do you see what I'm doing here, right?
Yeah.
But that can very easily be overcooked. You could have let that run for far too long. You might not have done it for long enough.
But no, I was lucky, mate. I had no idea about that one. So that's the thing. It's always a constant gamble. It's a constant kind of toss up. To your point about like, Shuffle and I loving rhyme, but like some things might work, some things don't. You got to take chances sometimes. Like, with that one with the Polaroid, I had no fucking idea how that was going to go down. Obviously, like I didn't take a survey of the crowd before just saying like, look, if I pause for about a minute and wait for a Polaroid photograph to develop in front of you, will you all be like on my side? And fortunately, like there was sort of an element to which they kind of went with me. I knew that I had to pause. Well, I mean, but also in that moment, I had two different options. I was like, either going to hand it for a moment, I was going to hand it to that woman at the front and just say, can you hold that? And I was just going to crack on with the next bar. But then it started to come through. So I was like, oh, actually, do you know what? We can do this because they can see that there's something that at least the people in the front, then it'll feed to the people in the back. So, this all goes through your head at one time. So you're just like, okay, now we can make this a thing. We can make this an event and kind of build it up. That was quite a risky. I mean, I've done something like that similarly before, which didn't go down well, and it just didn't work. And that was against Ogmios, where it didn't go down well in my head because I have certain standards of the crowd reaction that I'd like to basically serve as a metric for whether it's done well or not. And it didn't quite reach that when I did this idea against Ogmios, which was to say, this is what it's like listening to 4 bars from you, and then I did a bit of the bar
right down. Yeah.
A massive pause, started doing lunges between like the bars and all this kind of stuff, and it was kind of, there was a bit of a titter or whatever, but this stuff doesn't, we battled a can of Fanta and a stick lawn, like this stuff that people hated that shit. Like I just but that's kind of one of my favorite things. And
hang
people
on, stop, rewind.
Wait, no,
Fanta stick?
Sorry, sorry.
We'll come back to that, but go ahead. Sorry.
They didn't. A lot of people just absolutely hated that, and we sort of knew that would be that would polarize people. And sometimes the best things are the things that are gonna, if there are people who hate something, then there are, on the flip side, can be people who just as equally love it, and luckily it found its audience of maybe 7 or 8 people, and us, maybe including us, and Lorne's one of them. That's great. So but so this stuff, it's like we're not always. I think the more battles we do, just to use the battle rap as the firm example here. The more battles we do, the more sense we can get of something that may or may not go down well. But then, battle rap is such a unique art form because you only get to do the performance once. You only do that once. It's not, you don't go touring your 3 rounds for scapegoats around the country, So you have that one shot to do it, and stuff will work or it won't. And I mean, the great thing about the 2-on-2s is that we have each other to lean on, and kind of we can laugh if something doesn't go down well just as much as we can if it does. Or if something we don't even expect to go down well, like a setup, gets like a huge reaction. There was a moment in the Scapegoats battle where I did we were doing the cat stuff about the cat's arsehole photo.
Yeah, Raptor, you sent us a picture of your cat. You're a negotiation legend.
Yeah, so I did like well, that was one. That was kind of one as well. I didn't expect that to get. Often it's those ones where you're not even rhyming. You're just saying little comments in between that can be quite like really funny to watch back. You're just like, I didn't expect that to pop, but it did. And then the same one with the Russian blue. Like I was like, "Where's your cat, you little Russian blue?" That one was like, that was the setup. I didn't even want to say the word cat. Because Adam was concerned in the writing of that like people would know that Russian blue was a cat, and I was like, people know that Russian blue's a cat, but we were like, okay, well we'll just throw it in anyway, like it will be, and so the line just like established itself, and then said that, and that ended up getting a laugh. We had to kind of restart, and any battle rapper will tell you that's like the best feeling in the world. Well, maybe they won't actually. They'll be annoyed because they don't get to their punchline quicker. But in some cases, that's the case. But for the most part, like battle rappers will just kind of feed off an energy. If you get an early reaction like that, it's sort of really interesting. But to come back to what we were talking about, you just can't predict any of it. There's a battle rap as much as much as a film. It's like, how do I kind of, create something for the audience while staying true to myself? That was like kind of the question. And the answer is just do the latter more. Stay true to yourself more, and it just, there will be an audience for it, or there won't, and it will just either be a learning curve, and you have to ask yourself question like, do I want to just keep creating stuff for me? I mean, mashups is a perfect example. Like, nobody fucking cares or listens to music mashups. I made an entire album, 2 hours. This is serious. 2 hours with over, I think, like 500, 600 samples of tracks, like pure. It's not even like upbeat. It's like a downbeat mashup album over the pandemic, over lockdown, and I haven't released it because it's for me. It's like I'm making that. I'm making that for me. Maybe I'll put it out one day, but like maybe 2 people might care about that, and one of them's my mum. I mean, so I don't know. It's I don't always release stuff. Is the other answer. Like, genuinely, if I'm just like not 100% confident that there really is going to be that much interest in stuff, like whatever. But it's a tough balance all the time.